I have been on Lexapro for 11 months, almost an entire year. And 2 weeks ago, I increased the dose for the first time. I went from 5 milligrams to 10 milligrams. And I did not want to do this at all. But on the other side of 2 weeks, I can say that it was absolutely the right decision, and I'm really glad that I did it. About 6 weeks ago or so, I started to feel nervous with the winter approaching, and I just started to feel extra anxious and like I was on the edge of something really bad, that I was going to start slipping back into a really bad depression. And about mid-October, I did start that descent into a really bad depression, and it was really fast. It came on really quickly, and I really started to panic. One of the biggest indicators for me that I was really, really not doing well is the extreme shame spirals I was getting into, and the way that any of my coping skills were completely ineffective. It felt like everything I had practiced and developed in terms of self-love and self-compassion just like went out the window. It felt like I was starting at square one with myself, and that just made the shame worse. And I was totally self-aware. I could tell that I was being really mean to myself about the shame that I was having instead of speaking kindly to myself, but I just absolutely could not stop no matter what I did. And there was one day in particular that I had a really, really bad mental breakdown where I was the meanest I've been to myself in a really long time. I will not repeat the things that I was saying out loud to myself as I was sobbing and streaming tears, saying things that I would not say to a loved one. So that was a big factor for me in making an appointment, an emergency appointment with my psychiatrist. I had an appointment scheduled already, like a routine appointment, a couple weeks from then, but I decided to call and ask for the soonest appointment available. And I remember being on the phone with the receptionist, and while they were checking for an earlier appointment, my heart was pounding, and I was terrified that there wouldn't be an earlier appointment and I would have to wait the full 2.5 weeks. And I realized I was back to that feeling of, I don't know how I can do this. I don't know how I can make it. Every single day feels like it's just going on forever. And so that was another really good indication for me that it was time to increase my dose. But it was really tough to make that decision. And I'm still not thrilled about it, to be honest. I was really worried about, my body building up a tolerance to the meds, and then having to increase the dose, and then how many times am I going to have to do that? And I've been doing so well, even though the circumstances of my life have been really, really tough. I've still been doing so well despite that. And it was so discouraging to get to a place where I needed to increase the dose, because I had been thinking for a while hey, I'm doing so great. Maybe it's time to start talking about getting off of medication. Not like right away, but like, kind of making a plan for that. So to then decide to do the opposite, it's just so frustrating. So not what I was envisioning for myself or hoping for. But I had some good talks with my therapist. I had a really great talk with my best friend. She was really encouraging. And I also talked to another friend who is on medication, a different one than me, but still is also medicated for mental health reasons. And the things that that friend was saying were really reassuring. Just kind of along the lines of, hey, some people just need medication for their brain, just like people need medication for their body. And like, that's not something I've never heard before, but there's something about a friend that you trust and that you care about and who you know cares about you saying that just helps put it into perspective. Now that I've been on 10 milligrams of Lexapro for a couple weeks, I am doing a lot better. I'm still really sad. And I'm just feeling down a lot. I'm feeling tired. I kind of want to hibernate more, which, makes sense with daylight savings and it being so dark early and, the weather getting colder and everything. I'm definitely a sunshine worshiper. I love the sun. I adore that warmth of the sunshine. So it's difficult for sure to have the days turn darker earlier and colder. But it's not just that. I have a lot of repressed feelings to process about my divorce and other things in my life. And I've been practicing feeling those feelings, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, putting on some sad music in the car and crying. I don't like feeling sad. I avoid feeling sad. And I can trace that all the way back to my upbringing when feeling sad was seen as a sin, the way that I was raised in Christian fundamentalism. Anger was also seen as a sin. So basically anything other than peace and joy was seen as a sin. So it's really ingrained in me to avoid negative emotions. But negative emotions are a big part of life, as I keep reminding myself over and over again. And it makes a lot of sense to feel those negative emotions when difficult things happen in your life. So now that I have gotten the help that I need, medication-wise, I'm able to actually feel those feelings, practice feeling those feelings. Because when I was in the midst of all these shame spirals that I could not get out of, there was no way that I could access those feelings that I needed to feel, the sadness, the grief, because I was just too enveloped in the shame. That was all I could feel and could focus on. I kept telling myself that I was so selfish for feeling all of this shame. And the more that I would tell myself I was selfish, the more selfish I would feel. And the more I felt like I wasn't worthy of processing my emotions, or I wasn't deserving of it. Just like really weird mind fuckery, I guess. But hey, it's okay. Brains are weird and have weird things going on in there sometimes for no fault of our own. Sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's chemical, sometimes it's a mix of both. I think I probably have a mix of both, but probably more heavy on the trauma. But also some mental illness things that I don't really want to go into, and just, there's a lot happening up here, and there always has been. All of that to say, I'm not like better in that I'm feeling happy, but I am doing a lot better in that I'm actually able to cope with my sadness and my grief and the sort of slump, the season of slump that I'm going through right now. I think that's what medication does for me. It doesn't like completely take away, my anxiety or even some depression. I mean, it lessens the depression a lot, which, phew. But like, it doesn't take it completely away. It doesn't make it so that I'm like, all right, I'm doing great, no problems. But what it helps me do is it helps me use the tools that I have. It helps me access the self-compassion, the reparenting, the self-love that I need to keep moving forward instead of just curling up into a ball and, just rotting because I can't do anything else. And I'm trying to remind myself that this is a season. It's a season that I'm going through. And, it's ironic and poetic, depending on how you look at it, that my season of sadness is coinciding with the season of winter that's approaching. So I'm trying to kind of lean into that right now a little bit. Tonight is usually my dance night, and I did make it to the class, my usual class, but I did not stay for the dance portion, the party practice time afterwards, the social time. Wow, I described that in like 5 different ways. But basically, like after the class, there's like a social time where you practice what you learned in the class, and they call it like a party. And tonight was actually the potluck, so people were bringing food, and this is actually the second week in a row that I didn't make it to the social time after. And I feel a little bit of shame about that, but I'm trying to remind myself that it's okay. I'm not feeling up to it. I just want to go home, and I want to go to bed a little early because I'm tired and I'm feeling sad. And I can be proud of myself that I made it to the class tonight. And I can also remind myself that like this feeling is not forever. This season is not forever. Maybe next week I will be feeling up to staying. Maybe not. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to go forever without making it to the social time of dance. And, I feel some pressure like, I want to keep like improving in my West Coast swing dance skills. And if I don't keep going, consistently every single time to both the class and the social time, then I'm not going to be progressing. And maybe there's going to be a time where I'm not progressing. That's okay. That doesn't mean I'm giving up on the dance form. It's okay to slow down. I'm reminding myself that it's okay to slow down. And so, yeah, here I am, in my car, um, filming this video instead of dancing. And I'm about to go inside and I'm gonna cuddle up with my dog for a little bit and maybe watch a show before I get in bed under my new comforter that I got a few days ago. It is so cozy. And I'm gonna go to sleep, go to bed, so that I can get up for my job tomorrow. And I'm really grateful that I'm on 10 milligrams of Lexapro. As Michael the librarian says, live, laugh, Lexapro. Sometimes you gotta. And, it's okay to get that extra support. And do I want to be on Lexapro forever? No, absolutely not. And my hope is that eventually I will be able to transition off of it. But one thing that my psychiatrist said, and it was really helpful, he said, let's not worry about the future. Let's just focus on right now. Let's get you the help that you need right now. And I'm really glad he said that. That was really, really helpful reframing for me. And so that's what I'm doing these days. I'm trying to turn my attention back to the present. And I'm trying to tell myself, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to slow down. It's okay that I'm going through this season right now, and it's not going to last forever. Spring, both metaphorically and realistically, will come again. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, please put in the comments your favorite winter-related emoji. I hope you will be compassionate to yourself and give yourself love and care for yourself in the ways that you need. And it's okay to ask for help, whether that's medication or therapy or just leaning on a friend, whatever that looks like for you.